Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood have shared the same stages, the same songs, and the same quiet moments for decades. Long before the world ever called them a love story, fans felt it almost immediately, that unspoken closeness that lingered between notes, the comfort in their laughter, the way loyalty showed up even when romance did not. For years, people sensed something deeper than friendship, something steady and unresolved, yet never claimed out loud. They watched them stand side by side, through careers, through marriages, through pauses that felt intentional, rather than accidental. What made the story so compelling was not fame or headlines, but restraint. Garth and Trisha chose patience over impulse, timing over temptation, and respect over speculation. And recently, Garth finally spoke in a way he never had before, confirming a truth fans believed long before it was acknowledged. His words were not dramatic. They were calm, reflective, and quietly revealing. So what did Garth finally say that confirmed what fans suspected all along? Before love ever had permission to speak, Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood were already moving through life with a shared emotional compass, even if they did not yet recognize it as such. Garth Brooks was born in 1962 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, into a household shaped by music, faith, and a strong sense of family. From the beginning, he understood work as something earned, not assumed, and connection as something that mattered more than applause. When his career surged in the early 1990s, it did so with breathtaking force. He became one of country music's biggest stars almost overnight, filling arenas, breaking sales records, and reshaping what the genre could look like on a global stage. Yet beneath that visibility, his values remained rooted in humility and home. Trisha Yearwood was born in 1964 in Monticello, Georgia. Raised in a world where storytelling mattered and patience was learned early, her rise did not arrive as an explosion, but as a steady unfolding. In 1991, her debut single, She's in Love with the Boy, reached #1, introducing her as a voice of warmth, clarity, and emotional intelligence. She was not chasing spectacle. She was building something lasting, song by song, moment by moment, guided by a deep respect for craft and authenticity. As their careers developed on parallel tracks, the contrast between them was clear but complementary. Garth carried the weight of overwhelming fame. Trisha carried the discipline of steady growth. Both valued family over frenzy, integrity over image, and artistry over noise. Neither rushed emotional commitments. Neither blurred personal boundaries for public approval. What connected them long before romance was not attraction, but recognition. They shared an understanding of restraint, of timing, of what it meant to protect one's inner life while living in a public world. Their alignment was emotional, rather than romantic, grounded in mutual respect, and shared values rather than longing. Sometimes love does not begin with desire. Sometimes it begins with seeing another person clearly and knowing, without naming it, that you are walking toward the same truth. By the time Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood met in 1987, neither of them understood that they were beginning a connection that would quietly outlast every phase of their lives. Their first meeting came not under bright lights or public attention, but in a recording studio, laying down demo tracks alongside other hopeful artists. It was an ordinary professional moment, yet it carried a subtle gravity neither would name at the time. They were simply two musicians who recognized discipline, kindness, and seriousness in one another. As the early 1990s arrived, their careers moved closer together. Trisha opened for Garth on tour during the years when his rise was accelerating at a historic pace. Night after night, they shared stages, schedules, and the unique isolation that comes with life on the road. Yet what defined those years was restraint. Each maintained clear boundaries, honoring the separate lives they were living, the commitments they had made, and the people they were responsible to beyond the spotlight. Their friendship deepened not through grand gestures, but through consistency. They supported one another professionally, offered steady encouragement, and shared an understanding of the pressures that came with success. There were no public declarations, no blurred lines, no moments designed for attention. Instead, there was reliability. When careers grew complicated, the connection remained uncomplicated. When life demanded focus elsewhere, the bond did not demand more than it was given. What made their friendship endure was the absence of urgency. Neither pushed the other towards something they were not ready for. They allowed time to do its work. They respected silence as much as presence. Through marriages, transitions, and personal growth, they stayed connected without inviting speculation or drama into their orbit. In an industry that often confuses proximity with intimacy, Garth and Trisha demonstrated something quieter and far more durable. They showed that emotional closeness does not require possession, and that timing matters as much as feeling. The strongest bonds often survive not because they are pursued, but because they are protected, patiently waiting for the moment when they are finally allowed to become what they already are. When Garth Brooks made the decision to step away from music in 2000, the world saw it as a shocking pause at the height of a legendary career. What the public could not fully see was the internal reckoning behind that choice. Fame had moved faster than his life could hold, and something had to give. By 2001, his marriage to Sandy Mall had ended, and the noise that once defined his days finally began to quiet. For the first time in years, Garth was no longer running toward the next stage, the next tour, the next demand. He was standing still. Retirement changed him. Without the constant pull of arenas and applause, his priorities sharpened. He focused on raising his daughters, choosing presence over momentum. The pace of his life slowed enough for reflection to enter, and with it came clarity about what truly mattered. In that quieter space, relationships revealed their real weight. Trisha Yearwood did not suddenly appear. She had never left. Her presence during those years was steady and unassuming, woven naturally into his life without pressure or expectation. She respected the stillness he was protecting. She understood the cost of the years he had lived at full volume. Their conversations deepened, no longer framed by tour schedules or professional obligations, but by shared values and mutual understanding. The shift between them did not arrive with dramatic declarations. It unfolded gently, through trust that had already been earned. Friendship began to feel like partnership, not because either pushed it forward, but because nothing stood in its way anymore. Timing, long denied, finally aligned. Garth has since acknowledged that stepping away from music allowed him to become emotionally available in a way fame never permitted. In slowing his life down, he created room for honesty, vulnerability, and choice. Trisha's role during that period was not to rescue or rush him, but to remain exactly who she had always been. Love often arrives not when life is loud, but when it finally quiets enough to be heard. By the time Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood married in December 2005, there was no rush left in their story. The urgency that once defined their careers had softened into intention. Their decision was not framed as a grand reveal or a dramatic shift, but as a natural next step taken with care and certainty. They had already lived the hard parts separately. What they chose together was steadiness. From the beginning of their marriage, they made a quiet agreement to protect what they built. Public attention followed them everywhere, yet they resisted turning their relationship into spectacle. Interviews remained grounded. Appearances felt purposeful rather than performative. When they spoke about each other, it was never about ownership or rescue. It was about respect. Garth has openly credited Trisha as the emotional anchor in his life, not because she carried him, but because she stood beside him without trying to steer. He has described her as his equal in every sense, someone whose strength never competed with his own. Trisha, in turn, has spoken about their partnership as one rooted in listening, patience, and shared responsibility. Neither eclipsed the other. Neither surrendered themselves to make the bond work. Their professional lives reflected that same balance. Touring together became a shared experience rather than a hierarchy. recording music side by side, reinforced the idea that collaboration did not require sacrifice. They approached the stage as partners, each voice carrying its own weight, each presence respected. What defined their public love was not grand gestures but consistency. They showed up for each other in small, reliable ways. They protected their private space even while standing under bright lights. Fame did not dictate how they treated one another. It simply followed them. In a world that often rewards dramatic romance, Garth and Trisha chose something quieter and stronger. They built a life where love did not need constant proof, only daily care. Real love, they showed, is built on protection rather than performance. When Garth Brooks finally spoke with clarity about what Trisha Yearwood meant to him, it did not arrive as a dramatic revelation. It came as calm acknowledgement, the kind that only appears after years of certainty have already been lived. By then, the questions had long faded. What remained was truth, spoken without apology or hesitation. Garth publicly stated that Trisha saved his life emotionally, not in a moment of crisis, but over time, through steadiness and presence. He explained that before their marriage, before the tours and shared albums, she had already become the place where his life felt balanced. That admission did not rewrite history, it simply named it. He also credited her with helping him return fully to music in 2009. After nearly a decade away, when he stepped back onto the stage, it was not ambition pulling him forward, it was support. Trisha did not push him toward a comeback. She stood beside him while he decided who he wanted to be next. That distinction mattered. It meant the choice was his, but the strength to choose came from knowing he was not alone. What Garth confirmed was not that love arrived suddenly or late. He confirmed that it had always existed in the form that mattered most. Timing, not doubt, shaped their path. Responsibilities, families, and personal growth, each demanded space before love could step forward without harm. When it finally did, it arrived with clarity rather than urgency. He did not frame this truth as regret. There was no sense of lost time. Instead, there was peace. The understanding that love is not diminished by waiting. It is often strengthened by it. In speaking honestly, Garth removed the final layer of mystery fans had carried for decades. Trisha was not a surprise ending. She was the through line. The constant presence that made the rest of life make sense. Some truths do not need defending, they simply need time to be spoken. In the end, Garth Brooks did not confirm a secret or expose a hidden chapter. He simply named what had been quietly true for most of his life. Trisha Yearwood was never a sudden turn in his story. She was the steady presence that shaped it, long before love was allowed to step forward openly. Their journey was not defined by urgency or spectacle, but by patience, respect, and the willingness to wait until life made room for honesty. What makes their love endure is not its timing, but its intention. They chose partnership over performance, protection over public display, and loyalty over noise. At a point in life when many look backward with regret, Garth looked forward with peace, grounded in a love that arrived exactly when it could last. Some love stories are not meant to be chased. They are meant to be trusted. And when they finally speak, they do so without drama, without defense, and without doubt. For more emotional stories, check out this video.